All right, we're going to take a look at this run. I read your email, so we're going to take a close look at the pinwheel here. Starting off with the double. Very interesting as a first obstacle, very uncommon choice. And I think the takeoff here is really good for the double. I mean your dog's takeoff. This takeoff here is a little bit early. You can see these jumps are very close together and a curve. I don't like the spacing here. 1, 2, and then the dog has to jump up. There's no opportunity for a third hit there. Same thing here. 1, 2, and the dog has to get up. I'm not surprised that a bar comes down here. 2, there's not enough room to adjust the stride here. Your dog also moves away. So I'm guessing this is the pinwheel part, right? So this is number 4. So your dog is clearly reading the rear cross. So let's think about it. The dog is clearly reading rear cross, so we want to look at our handling and say, are we doing things that cue the rear cross, right? So we slow down and we rotate. So you can see here you're on a line, if I had to draw a line, kind of toward this car, and then at the takeoff, the line changes, right? So here we do see some rotation of the shoulder, and we're seeing it before the takeoff. Or I'm sorry, like right at the takeoff. So what this tells me is that you often, or not even that often, I found that even people who don't do it very often, but if you do it every now and then, if you over rotate in order to commit your dog to a turn before rear cross, the dog will do this. So this is why, let's say I did want a rear cross here. This is why I'm always going to come in. I'm going to stop, decel, and then rear cross. So I come in and I stop. Run, stop, go. And that's going to, the decel creates the turn here, and then the rear cross creates the turn away. Right? So there are 2 turns here. So what if I want my dog to just go without turning? I'm going to stop. Well, I see. I think that's part. Okay, interesting. So I think you had a couple options here. One is you could use decel here, which you didn't. You just opted to roll through. So you decel here and decel here. That's a lot of decels. I think if you can get your dog with shoulder rotation, that's fine. And then what I would do here is make sure that I'm staying facing this car as the dog takes off. Yeah. So you can see, especially you end up even facing this way. And so on these decels, I think just hold your position straighter. Now, it won't always be this way. I thought I would have to go through her whole life like this with Gitchy, but it was only a year and a half or 2, which I understand is a long period of time. But it has to do with how you rear cross. And as long as sometimes you rotate to pull the dog, and then you cut back for the rear, as long as you have that, and that's part of your handling, and even if you never did it again the rest of your life, it's already a part of the dog's understanding of cues. So going forward, you have to stay straight, because I inherited Gitchy at age 3, right? So she already had this in her handling. So the fix is I always had to stay straight until I could get the dog wrapping toward me, then I could move. And then as time got on, year 4, year 5, year 6 with her, I could leave sooner and sooner, right? But in the beginning, especially that first year, I had to wait perfectly still. And then the other thing is I had to redo all the rear crosses where I never pull and flick. I always drive on her. And if I need her to turn into me, I just come to a stop and then go. So those are the 2 adjustments that you're going to need to make. Once you make those adjustments, you're going to be fine. I understand what you're saying about the decels. It's very, very difficult. Even for here, the timing is really good, but you're absolutely in your dog's blind spot. So there's no extra stride. The dog reads the cue really well, though. So really well done there. All right. You can let me know if you have any questions about that. I thought everything else was good. I thought this release here on the dog walk was a little quick if we look at it in real time. I thought it was a little quick, but if the dog stopped and then you did release verbally before the dog released, then you're fine. All right. Here I'd like to see this arm come up. I would like to see that arm come up back here. Okay, I don't think your dog would have missed it if this bar was up, right? Then the dog would have been a little wider here, a little bit wider here, and then it would have been difficult for them to turn off here. But the cue for tire should be right here. This should be tire, tire. And I think yeah, you actually add a subtle rotation this way. The dog comes off really tight. So with the tire being here, I think it's safe to converge a little bit. Ah, I see. But if you converge too much, you might get this off course. Yeah. All right. I'm not sure what's going on there other than if that arm is the cue, go ahead and get that arm up at the takeoff.